Hello and welcome to Moneylife. This is Sucheta Dalal. Today we are going to talk about a rather difficult subject. This is the order that the Securities and Exchange Board of India, our market regulator, issued on Friday. It's one of the last orders that's emanating from what started as the co-location scam in 2015. And this time it gets absolutely weird and absurd. So, what is the headline making news about this order? It is that Chitra Ramakrishna, the most celebrated top women executive, managing director, and CEO of the National Stock Exchange, which is the world's biggest derivatives exchange, was being strung along like a puppet on a string by what she calls a Himalayan guru, who is a Siddha Purush who has no form but he has an email ID and he is communicating with this lady CEO. Have you ever heard of anything like this? Anybody who has heard it, seen it, is shocked beyond belief. This is one of the most regulated areas of the country, definitely in the capital market, which is highly regulated. It has made a laughing stock out of India, and global media is lapping up the stories of the Himalayan guru who was the puppet master dictating the actions of Chitra Ramakrishna. How embarrassing is this? All this time, India took pride in the National Stock Exchange being a technology powerhouse and beating the world, being the largest exchange. And nobody in government seems to realize the enormity of what this order is saying, especially because after these revelations, the order is weak and inconclusive. As many people have commented, facts are more bizarre than fiction. 190 pages of SEBI, which took probably 6 years to finally come out. Remember, the co-location scam was in 2015, and SEBI has been leisurely sending out show cause notices after that. So let me use a very popular narrative these days about the two Indias. So what NSE and the SEBI order have shown is that we have two Indias. One India in which NSE is a tech powerhouse, the largest derivatives exchange with incredible operating margins of 70%, huge efficiency, a monopoly over the Indian capital market. And then there is another India where the same NSE has a managing director who claims to communicate on email with a spiritual guru who instructs her on how to manage the exchange. In effect, it's a combination of the Indian rope trick combined with modern technology and an email ID. How bizarre is this, isn't it? And this is our capital market. It's almost like India has been pushed back from our new image, new global image as a tech-savvy country, back to one of, holy men and snake charmers. And SEBI's order itself keeps calling this man an unknown guru, who she says in an interrogation, I wouldn't call it interrogation, gentle questioning. She says she met him on the banks of the Ganges 20 years ago, that he has no form, and she still has emails exchanged with him where he's asking her to chill with him at Seychelles, get her a swimsuit, or rendezvous in Delhi at Vasant Vihar. I'm going to show you some of those emails. These are the questions asked. So the whole order is he said, she said, someone else said. Where is the investigation? The Securities and Exchange Board of India fought for and got powers of search, seizure, arrest. They can jail people. And yet this whole investigation is this one said, that one said, this report said. No interrogation whatsoever, gentle questions, cross-examination by powerful lawyers. So, Siddha Purusha is a Paramahamsa, she says, who may largely dwell in the Himalayan ranges. And she's met him occasionally in holy places. What is she doing as a managing director? She says the Siddha Purusha doesn't need any co-location coordinates. He has an email, and that's good enough. It doesn't affect her credibility, and if this is what she believes, can you imagine her stopping anything that led to a mega co-location scam? When asked further, she says, to the best of my knowledge, these gurus have spiritual powers that do not require them to have any physical coordinates. But The substance of the emails, this email itself is a combination of the names of three Vedas. Okay? And the substance of the emails is very mundane, down to earth, half flirtatious, romantic. It's got absolutely nothing to do with holy, divine stuff. It's about day to day running of the exchanges, promotions, and a majority of what SEBI has put out based on a forensic audit that it ordered NSE to conduct through Ernst & Young is only about one man, Anand Subramaniam. I'm going to call him Subbu, whom Chitra Ramakrishna appointed unilaterally, bypassing all HR policies, foisted him on the exchange, and as these emails show, multiple conversations with the guru about how to keep promoting him 6 times, I think, in 2 or 3 years, new designations, higher and higher salaries. So this man who worked in a subsidiary of Bamalori, got a salary of 15 lakhs per annum, was first of all appointed at 1.34 crores, and then became the second highest paid employee, group operating officer on the boards of all of NSE subsidiaries. NSE pays exceedingly well, and like I said, it has huge operating margins of 70%. And the entire conversation with the so-called guru is about this man and how to hide from SEBI the fact that he is appointed as a consultant, so nobody does his appraisal but Madam Chitra Ramakrishna, and he keeps getting promoted, and how to avoid reporting that to SEBI. So everybody who's in the way, whose job it is to have objected, whose job it was to have informed SEBI, is also rewarded. There are multiple emails on that. What is worse is that SEBI has issued so many orders, but there is nothing to indicate that this basic scenario, where the board of directors delegates enormous powers to the managing director, to the point that the managing director becomes like the single point Raja or Rani running the exchange, no questions asked, because it's ostensibly a professional body, but it is a mom or pop shop run by one person on his or her whims, depending on whether it's a man or a woman in charge. It is not listed, it does not submit itself to RTI, and since nobody understands technology and they can bamboozle you, I don't even know whether the board is chosen so that they don't understand much and cannot ask questions. Now, let's come to the SEBI order. So, the key point about the SEBI order is, who on earth is this Himalayan guru who is controlling the managing director? There's a forensic audit. Ernst & Young has no doubts who it is. Way back in 2015, it all started when they noticed that as managing director, Chitra was sharing very, very confidential internal information, projections, organizational structure, financial results and policies with an outside email ID. Key is this email ID. It is called Rig Yajur Sama 3 Vedas at outlook.com. Combination of the 3 Vedas. Okay. Now focus on this email ID. All the inquiries around emails exchanged by Chitra Ramakrishna with this email ID. Turns out, according to SEBI, many of these are copied to Anand Subramaniam, who has been appointed on the Guru's instructions and has an interesting relationship with Chitra, which was gossiped about by everybody in the NSE, from top executives down to the drivers employed by the exchange. Yes, drivers. I have spoken to them. SEBI's inquiry shows that she referred to this, SEBI keeps calling him an unknown person, as the Swamiji, your lordship. In para 71.2, it says, she says, the company is run on your blessings alone. This woman has been appointed as managing director, and we have written in our book Absolute Power how her own appointment was very irregular, and how very senior people who are appointed on the boards of these companies are very happy to collude in letting things happen because of the perception that somebody is very good, knows a lot, has grown with the exchange. Nobody cares to question deeply, and every time somebody says something to the contrary, like we have been writing for the last 10 years or more, it is dismissed as being bad and wrong and negative. This is the national thinking these days, but this has happened at every stage, every time in NSE. which is why we faced a defamation suit. Now, further emails show how this woman was a puppet of this puppet master, because she's discussing self-listing. There was a lot of pressure from NSE's foreign investors for the exchange to get listed. NSE did not want to get listed because the minute you're listed, you're open to scrutiny from investors, analysts, especially in such a profitable organization. Its shares are highly valued even today in the grey market, happily being traded. NSE doesn't want to be listed because it doesn't want scrutiny, it doesn't want to make quarterly announcements, it does not want to be answerable to analysts. So it has found multiple ways to influence the system in order to avoid listing. Now, the guru is guiding Chitra on what to do and how she should lobby with people in government and the finance ministry in order to do self-listing. So what does he say? I'm quoting, "Don't worry, the straw knows when to be a capillary and when not to. Kanchan is the straw, which is Kanchan standing for Anand Subramaniam, and I will be the suction force, which is this unknown man again, who I think is also Anand Subramaniam. I will be the suction force for this, and you will vomit all that is required as always." So this woman, the second highest paid executive in the country after Aditya Puri, taking home a salary of 44 crores in 3 years, is vomiting what a guru is telling her on email, who she claims has no form, and she doesn't know who rajajur@outlook.com is. But this guru is very down to earth enough to copy all these emails to Anand Subramaniam or Subbu. He's tracking his career, he's telling him how to appoint people, and there is another angle as well. SEBI makes reference to some payment being done, and yet SEBI doesn't want to investigate. Everybody that I spoke to, from people inside SEBI, NSE, anyone who knows them, is 100% certain that the guru is none but Anand Subramaniam. But SEBI has said it's inconclusive. Why? Because it's found 2 mails that suggest that this is not Paramahamsa, but maybe very down to earth, a man who's inviting Chitra to go to Seychelles, talking about going there and booking tickets. Not the job of a guru, right? So, and again, this is not conjecture. This is a regulator's order. The regulator is depending on a forensic audit. The forensic auditor, Ernst & Young, of some standing, has no doubts at all that this IP address can be traced back to the email and to Anand Subramaniam. But SEBI's whole-time director is not convinced. So he has a wishy-washy order which deliberately obfuscates things. And once you obfuscate it, what on earth, how do you have an order without a complete investigation? If the investigation is not complete, the first part of the order should be to complete it. But no, a 190-page order is written out. In fact, what is the basis of his doubt? One email of 17th February 2015, like I said, a romantic trip to Seychelles. There are comments in that, very unguru-like, about today you're looking awesome. You must learn different ways to plait your hair, which will make you look appealing and more interesting. And how he is planning to chill or wants her to chill in Seychelles. There's a second one from the same email ID, which is this time copied also to her secretary Nawaz Patel, where the person sending the email poses as a friend of foreign shareholders of SEBI's Foreign Shareholders Representation Committee. And he's seeking an appointment with Chitra, not in Bombay, but at the India office at Vasant Vihar in Delhi. Nawaz Patel quickly confirms that Chitra is willing to meet this entity, man, person, whoever. No names and no details. Is it difficult to grill her secretary to find out what happened? Was that appointment kept? Where did they agree to meet? So here's what I think SEBI should have done. It should have initiated the following actions. Hand over the investigation to cybercrime experts and conclusively identify who the guru was, with whose very physical needs, aspirations, greed show he's not a guru. Nail him down. Find out what his motivation were. Without that, don't even bother to write an order. Second, question Chitra's secretaries about the meeting in Delhi, Seychelles. Who is this man called Seshu who was apparently doing bookings for the guru? Third, question NSE's foreign investors and ask them, what is this committee about? Did this friend have their authorization to represent them? What was it that he was discussing? Or was this all a hoax? Investigate financial dealings with the guru, which are hinted at in an email. Like I said before, there's a quote which says, withdraw and surrender to the unknown person per month as gratitude on gross amount. This suggests that a part of his salary was going somewhere. Now, get in the tax department if required to find out what this is, but SEBI does not want to even investigate it. In fact, it's using all these facts to create doubts about the identity of the guru. All this, if done, would have revealed if the last two mails about Seychelles and Delhi were a deliberate obfuscation or just sloppiness on the part of these two people who were communicating. In fact, there is evidence that Chitra even asked NSE officials to bypass the firewalls because NSE had put in a system that filtered outside emails. SEBI doesn't want to question it. It only quotes and dumps a lot of data and facts with absolutely weak and horrendous conclusions. Now, SEBI's failure to conclusively identify the guru means that you can't punish them. So there are some paltry fines. It looks like 2 crores and 3 crores. Given the salaries they earned, it is peanuts. From the exchange's profitability point of view, it is not even a little poke. Forget about a rap on the knuckles. Okay. Interestingly, even under this new management, which was all part of the cleanup post the co-location scam, Vikram Limay as MD aggressively defends the actions of the directors then and now. Both NSE and Ravi Narayan, who was part of the founding team and continued as vice chairman right until the co-location scam, seemed to suggest in their responses that once Chitra and Subbu had resigned in October and December 2016, everything is over, chapter closed, no questions asked, no disgorgement, forget about everything. If this is how regulation can happen, if this is how a monopoly exchange is run with no consequences on resignation, then what are all these governance rules and punishments and penalties for other intermediaries and corporate houses? Why is this enormous waste of money on corporate governance compliances? SEBI doesn't even go into it. 200 pages, 190, and SEBI doesn't want to talk about it. I spoke to NSE board members and asked them, why did you let her off? Especially the ones who had come in to apparently clean up the exchange post co-location. Now, they say SEBI's charge is that SEBI was not kept informed, NSE did not respond to it, it had to give repeated reminders and none of this wrongdoing was told to SEBI. Board members that I spoke to say it's untrue. They met SEBI chairman Ajay Tyagi, they gave him a copy of their report and they kept him informed. Now, what does this mean? It's a serious charge. It contradicts SEBI's findings and an official order. Also raises a question as to why did the SEBI chairman, if they met him and they said, we've asked her to gently resign and let her go with all her perks and noted her enormous contribution, why did he not say this will not do, you will take action, you will sack them? In fact, SEBI's order, especially if it's contradicted by these directors, raises a lot of questions. Now, my source says that they were appointed by UK Sinha to clean up and they had met Tyagi when they took action. Are they going to speak up? Well, he says, we are thinking about it and consulting legal opinion. Now, if they don't do any of it, it means that SEBI's order stands. If SEBI's order stands, it raises new questions. If these directors don't open their mouth. Remember, these are people of enormous standing. One of them was even ED law and SEBI. It means that people who could not fulfill their fiduciary responsibility in a regulatory body, which is the NSE, when they are appointed by SEBI as the capital market regulator to clean up, can these people be expected to perform their fiduciary duties on other government bodies, committees, publicly listed companies where they are there? One of them even owns a proxy advisory firm which has very, very strong views on governance practices of every company that is listed on India's exchanges. So there is a saying that you either show proof, protest, or there has to be consequences. SEBI does not intend to do either. It's a very cunning order which blames them but has no penalty, does not recommend action, does not say anything, does not even name these people. Now let's come to the last part, which is what Sherlock Holmes would call the dogs that did not bark. Now, the enormity of Chitra Ramakrishna's actions, promoting someone to group operating officer, giving this kind of hike where he's the second highest person, cannot happen until people up and down the line collude. The board of directors, the vice chairman who was part of the founding team, people on the board who know regulation. Like I keep saying, there was an executive director who was head of the legal department, the chief regulatory officer, V.R. Narasimhan, who is one of the 6 people indicted. None of them spoke up. Now, emails again between the Guru and Chitra show that all of them were rewarded one way or the other. They got promotions, they got salary hikes. Even the HR head, who is not one of the people indicted and who's spoken out very frankly, was one of the people named as let's promote him, let's reward him. It created an incentive to keep quiet, right? Mr. Narasimhan is been appointed as Dean of SEBI's National Institute of Securities Management, which is a certification institute and training institute on capital market rules. How ironical is that? So 2 years ago, SEBI issued a show cause notice. It's issued an order in 2022, but it does not intend to say anything. It appoints the man on its institute. When I asked a question to SEBI, it says NISM makes independent decisions. His term is until April 2022, so he will continue for 3 months. And SEBI does not interfere in day-to-day administration. SEBI, remember, is a market regulator. What is it talking about not interfering? In that case, it should not be interfering even in what NSE does or what the BSE do or what listed entities do. It has set up this institution to teach people about regulation, capital markets, and certify them for a fee. I'm showing you a chart about the 6 people who were indicted. Anand Subramaniam, the key figure, is noticee 6, the last person. All this, if you ask me, points to regulatory failure. There is rot in SEBI as well as the NSE. It has been growing in the past 2 decades. We have written about all of this, barring the emails that are in this order. Everything has been written in our book, Absolute Power, inside story of National Stock Exchange's amazing success. Yes, it did play a big role in the transformation of the Indian capital market, the amazing success leading to hubris, regulatory capture, and the algo scam. This was released long before SEBI's order in June 2021. I think you need to look at the SEBI order if you have the patience to read 190 pages. It is extraordinary. If you like what I say, share it, because what happens in the capital market, what happens to India's reputation, concerns all of us. We need to ask that the right decisions be taken. Thank you.